here we are in my room as the voluntary archivist of the Theatre Royal Stratford East, the home of Joan Littlewood and the Theatre Workshop. And we're celebrating a season of Woodfall films, one of which, of course, is A Taste of Honey. I don't know how many people know that it originated here as a play, long before the film. Theatre Workshop was known to have broken down the barrier and given back the nobility to the regional and working class voice. Because up till then, as we know, in every film and every play, anybody with a regional accent or a working class voice was always a figure of fun. But Theatre Workshop, going back to the 40s, brought that voice back and made them not a figure of fun, but as somebody true. And Theatre Workshop started in Manchester. They were in Manchester for a long time and toured on the back of a lorry. And that working class voice in that renaissance in the 50s, you had playwrights started using the working class voice. And so theatre and film started to need working class actors who had got not somebody with a very cultured university voice who always sounded dreadful doing Cockneys or mock Cornish. You got actual people who actually spoke it. And at that time, Shelagh Delaney, a working class girl, very well educated in Manchester, went to see a play of Ratikans in Manchester. And she was pretty bossy, our Shelagh. And she sat there thinking, well, I don't think much of that. I could do better than that. So she went home and wrote a play. Well, when you're 19, you do such things, don't you? And having written it, who did she give it to? Well, she knew all about Joan and the Theatre Workshop, who by that time were here in this building. And so she sent the play to Joan, saying, you may not like it, but you know, I think it's very good. And Joan read that play and of course heard that wonderful music of that accent, the working class accent, and agreed to do it immediately, because Joan was always flexible in what she put on. She used to say to the Arts Council, I don't know a 3-year plan because the postman hasn't arrived. And Brendan Behan sent her, and then Shelagh. And so that was the start of this incredible play that here I am, 61 years later, talking to you about it. It is an extraordinary journey, isn't it? And at the time, of course, it was a breakthrough. It was a total breakthrough. 1958, Lord save the mark. And it was a breakthrough because it dealt with subjects that in sort of well-brought-up theatre were frowned upon, unless you did a French farce. You know, single-parent families, mixed relationships, homosexuality, though the word was never used in those days, not in polite society. And so Shelagh's play combined all those elements of that time. Of course, on that first night, we had no idea what it would be like. And I remember the general manager of this theatre, Jerry Raffles, saying to Francis Tuker, because Francis Tuker, I've got a picture of Francis and myself. Francis Tuker was the original Joe. And we finished rehearsing, and we didn't have previews in those days. We just had friends of the theatre came in. And we just did the one show, and then we opened to the world's prayers. But at the end, when we're going up to our dressing room, he called us over and he said, now listen, you two, if there's any trouble at the curtain call, just go either side of the stage and I'll bring the safety curtain in. We went, oh, thank you, Jerry, because we were nervous enough. And when we came on for our curtain call, there was suddenly this roar, and we both got hold of each other's hands, thinking the riot. And then in that second, we realised that people were standing cheering. I mean, it was quite extraordinary. And so we played here, and we played in the West End. And then 2 years later, Sheila adapted the stage play for the film. Because remember, the stage play all happens in one room, whereas, of course, Tony opened it out for the film. Now, at the time of the play, I was the assistant stage manager in theatrical terms, which actually means the dog's body, did everything. And we'd read the play, and I was washing up the cups for the afternoon, getting ready for the afternoon session. And Joan appeared, and she said to me, what do you think of that boy? And quite truthfully, I said, oh, drives me mad. Oh, she said, does he? Why? I said, well, I mean, he's a namby-pamby, isn't it? I mean, why doesn't he stand up to that mother and tell her to sling her own? I said, no, oh, she said, you don't like him? I said, no, I don't. Oh, she said, oh, that's a pity, she said, because I was going to ask you to play him. With that, and she was helping me dry up the cups at the time. She put the tea cloth down and walked off, and I thought, I've just talked myself out of my first major part. But of course, she did use me. And it was an enormous task for me, because I'd been here, I was a student. I wasn't a fully, I never went to a drama school. I never went to school, come to think of it, during the war. And so we started. Now, lots of the company, Avis Bunnage was the, I've got the original programme. 1958. I mean, graphics are rather nice, aren't they? And there's the original cast. Now, Avis Bunnage, who created the mother, was from Manchester, the posh side of Manchester, Chawton Comardy. And I used to get her to speak posh Manchester, because and of course I hadn't got a Manchester accent. I'm a North London boy. And so during the rehearsal period, they taught me my Manchester accent. I mean, and I think when I got to that line there, I don't go in for something confessions. And it was very difficult. See, I stalled over it then. It was very difficult. But the day that I actually got it correct, the whole company cheered. We got near doing a run-through, and the boy has to tell the time. Well, we were all so poor, because we ran the theatre ourselves, painted it, cleaned it. And my family certainly didn't have money to buy me a watch in 1958. So before going on stage for the dress run, I said to Joan, oh, listen, Joan, will you lend me your watch, please? And I said, well, I haven't got a watch, I've got to tell the time. Oh. She reluctantly took the watch off and gave it to me. And after the show, I gave it to her back. Then the next night we had the friends in. Joan, can I borrow your watch, please? The first night, Joan, can I borrow? What? How am I going to time? I said, I don't know, but I've got to tell the time. I've got to go on. So she gave me the watch. The following Monday, everybody came in. Jerry Raffles came, And he said to me, listen, I was cleaning the car at the weekend. A lie. I was cleaning the car at the weekend. He said, and I found this. And he threw me a package, and in it was the watch. I went, oh, wow. And for 1958, this was rather smart. Believe you me. And so, I mean, I had the proud possession of a watch. And so I wore it all through the run in the West End for a year. I wore it, and I wore it in the film. And I always wore it. And then one day, long after the film was finished, about a year later, I suddenly thought, oh, there's a story with that watch. Take it off, Murray. And it's been in the archive ever since. The black boy, Jimmy Moore, was quite unique. John Bay, who played Peter, was American. Joan was quite eclectic in her. She was international. Now, people cast black or Asian and they get patted on the back. She cast them and nobody took any notice. So she broke those barriers long before anybody. And of course, there was that other convention in the theatre, I don't know whether younger people know today, because of Joan's influence. You know, everything was highly lit in those days, box sets. And of course, you had that convention that you could look out at the audience, but you never ever acknowledged that they were there. You pretended, you know, 500 people weren't there watching you. Joan broke that down, Theatre Workshop broke that down. And for A Taste of Honey, she had a 3-piece band in the box. And so you were always looking at the players. She broke that, and she had Avis Bunnage playing the mother, talking to the audience. I mean, that was revelatory. Not us younger ones, because we hadn't got the experience to do that. Did later. But Avis talked to the audience, and it was commented on, you know. Oh, really? You know, talking to the audience. I mean, but you see, she had the 3-piece band, and there's the trio up in the box. Now, that was all also groundbreaking. So this little 5-hander play broke such boundaries that no wonder it was the success it was. I had a question at one of the Q&As at the BFI saying to me, what was it like doing a scene out on the moors with all the sheep? And my answer was, well, I created that boy. I played it for over a year, and Tony could have stuck me anywhere and I would know that boy's reaction, because I knew him back to front. And even putting us in the fairground, and especially I worked with all the young children. That was exciting. But Joan did stuff like she got the kids from the street to come into the theatre. So it was lovely working with those kids who were so excited, the thoughts that they were going to be on a film. Oh, and they would be invited. And of course, Woodfall invited the main kids to come to London. And we did a photo shoot as publicity for the film with the kids all around London. We took them to St James's Park and fed the bird. I mean, they were all in their best bibs and tuckers and well behaved, and they were so excited. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So when the film was talked about and eventually went ahead, I was the only one cast from the original play. Everybody else was new. And The girl, I did 6 filmed auditions with these 6 different girls. The 6th girl was somebody called Richardson, who came in and elbowed me out of the way. I mean, she'd got the part before she'd finished the audition, I knew. She was streets ahead of anybody. And she'd got the right attitude to that girl. And then he cast Paul Danquah, the black boy. So I worked with a whole new cast, lovely Robert Stevens. And so I had to change my performance going along with these new actors who were giving me something different to what I'd normally been used to. So I had to work hard on that, because I've been working with the last cast for over a year. So in a way that kept me fresh, because it was a different atmosphere all told. And of course then it was quite unique, wasn't it, in that the whole thing was on location. And that was almost a first for English, not on the continent, but for England that was really innovative, wasn't it? And took a bit of getting used to, but one got used to it. It was lovely. But there was no there was no studio work at all. Even the flat was a flat in London. It wasn't even in Manchester. It was down in Fulham, and that was just a flat. So that was all. No, there was no studio. There was nothing. It was so untheatrical. And it was interesting to see Manchester today, when I go back, to what it was then. I mean, the canal with all that dirt and muck and that wonderful swing bridge. Wow, that was exciting. Really was exciting. No, it was no wonder it was the breakthrough that it was. It doesn't surprise me at all. And then, of course, you see, we had the crew. You know, we had an English crew, apart from Walter Lassley, of course. Wonderful Walter, with all that grainy film. I mean, this was unique. Desmond Davis on the camera. This was going out, you know, in the pouring rain, with the sun coming in, the sun going out. Because in those days, when they were filming, if it was a blue sky, it always had to be a blue sky. You know, the sun didn't go in and out on films in those days. It wasn't until then that sun went in and out, and people started accepting it. And then you see, we really did, because of that, we all became a little family. I mean, the crew and everybody, you were looked after, and Tommy Props and all those. It really was lovely. And so much so that when Desmond directed his own film, Smashing Time, with Rita, he had Paul and me in 2 little parts, because he just wanted, I think we were mascots. We were lucky mascots for him in his next film. And we got tarted up and made fools of ourselves. But it was for Desmond. So it really was, we really was so close-knit all the time. It was fantastic. It really was. It was lovely. Yes, and all those problem characters, there was Geoffrey, of course, who wasn't called a homosexual. You know, the word wasn't used. But then, of course, what most younger people don't realise, that the theatre had something called the Lord Chamberlain, who vetted everything that went on stage. Now, talking about the royal family, homosexuality, prostitution. They were not allowed on stage in London or this country in up to, when did the Lord Chamberlain abolish? In the 60s. It wasn't allowed. So, well, that was Joan Littlewood's genius, that she directed me in such a fine line that the Lord Chamberlain couldn't say, you're portraying a homosexual. And so, you know, I'd spend hours, and so, but it all came through my movement. Younger actors who are doing that part today ask me, you know, tips on how to, and I will say, play him straight. Play him straight, but lower your eyes. Don't look directly at anybody, sort of go down and then look up. And out of that, and out of movement, I got his softness. But played it straight. But Joan had to go through all that because she knew that if I did one camp movement, the theatre would be closed down. So there were enormous problems in actually creating this piece. But then that was down to Joan's brilliance, how she weaved it all together. And then how extraordinary, all those problems, it goes on to film, and then with Rita, I win the Cannes Prize for Best Actor. In that short space of time, what, 3 years? So this piece is extraordinary on many, many, many levels. And not amazes me, it's rather lovely in a way, that it still continually attracts people, this play. It doesn't, I say this sort of offhand, but I think as a story it holds up probably better than lots of 60s stories do, that it's got rather dated. And I think that's because of the work done by Joan and the company on those characters and making them absolutely true. And it still comes across today, doesn't it? And one of my great accolades is when some young teenager comes up to me and says, thank you. And I said, well, why? Ah, but you see, I saw A Taste of Honey and you changed my life. I find that very emotional. And quietly I usually say, thank you, Joan, because it was Joan that guided me on how to do it. But it is extraordinary, the effects of that film, isn't it? And of Rita's performance and Frances's performance. I mean, like Rita, she got enormous, wonderful, because that character is never off stage, except for 2 little moments. It's an enormous character to undertake. So it has lots of meanings for me, this little number. Done as the ASM and making the tea. It's extraordinary, isn't it? And I think that's what's important, that the stage version should be recognised that led up to the film. Without all that work done by a company of players, it wouldn't have got to the film.